All right, I think we've done it.
Woo!
Oh, it's still preparing, live preparing. Oh my gosh. What's going on here? Doesn't show us live there. Oh yeah, we're live now. Okay, good. Technology. Oh, so thanks everybody for joining us. We're a little late. It was a little technical difficulties, but we're all doing awesome. We'll get through this. So today my wonderful and fabulous guests are the Painter Chicks. It's a duo team of Marie and Sue. So we'll get into how they got together. Working together in a minute. So I'm Velvet with Little Red Door. I have an interior design business here in the Calgary area. So I'm talking, I wanted to speak with these ladies because I use them on a lot of my jobs, anything that I have wallpaper on, and I think they're fabulous. So we wanted to talk. Yay! So they're just so customer service orientated, and they're just lovely people, and they just know the product so well. They're such resource for me when talking wallpaper with people, and if I have any questions, they're so quick to get back to me, and I just love working with them. So of course we're talking about small businesses, and we're talking about how we can help you, and how the COVID is affecting a lot of us. I know you ladies are being able to still work, so that's awesome. I'm happy for you. Lots of people aren't in that position. So we'll start off. I'll ask you just some questions about yourselves, and then about your business, and then we'll get into how we all work together. Cool?
Sounds good.
Yes.
Okay, well, let's start off. Tell me a little bit about yourselves.
You start.
Well, me start. I've been painting probably for, oh my goodness, 27 years. Sue and I partnered up probably about 10 years ago. We have such a passion for any type of painting, wallpapering, refurbishing furniture, and yeah, we
do it all. If it can be painted, we paint it. Absolutely. Yeah, well, you can change the total look of something by just a coat of paint or wallpaper. So we love to do that and help our clients with that.
That's awesome. Turn your passion into, a natural career and job, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, we love our job, and there's not a day that we wake up thinking, oh my gosh, I have to go to work today. We're excited, and, because every day is different. We're doing something different all the time, from new construction to, the end product, dealing with clients, like you say, with yourself. And that is what we really enjoy, is working with people like you. Because you're so much fun, and you're awesome at what you do. So,
thanks. So you guys are in Calgary. Do you both live in Calgary, or do one of you live in Lethbridge?
I live in Lethbridge. Marie lives in Calgary, and so we service both communities. As a matter of fact, we service communities everywhere. We've been all over Alberta traveling, as well as BC, and we shouldn't probably say this, but a couple places in the States too. But yes. But yeah, we travel.
Oh, that's awesome. And so just anybody can call you up and say, hey, come paint and come do my stuff. And you guys are like, okay.
Yes. Yeah, a lot of times, people don't really, they know they want to change, but they're a little bit apprehensive to, do something really bold. And so we always love working with the clients, because a lot of times they trust our judgments. And of course, working with designers, if you have a good team, then the end result is much better. And when the clients can trust you, we often, like more often than not, they will just give us the keys. And they're like, we're gone for 2 weeks. Have fun. Here's the code.
And as a matter of fact, speaking of how COVID has affected different trades and whatnot. Most recently, we just completed a job for lovely clients. We transformed some furniture pieces for them, as well as their oak handrails. And so they left for several days. They just gave us the keys, they left, we did our thing, and then we leave, and then they come in, so that there isn't, that contact. And we are always very careful and conscious of where we are and what we're doing, and cleaning and disinfecting and whatnot. So in that situation, it works out really good,
Yeah. And would you say you guys are more cautious about like going into homes or anything? I mean, I know you do a lot of construction, but usually when people are getting painting done, they don't want to be in the house anyways. So it's probably not too big a deal for you guys. I mean, of course, disinfecting and your hands and those, but you're not really, it's not like somebody's, for the most part, not sitting there watching you paint.
Right. Not normally, no.
Yeah.
I mean, I could probably sit there and watch you hang wallpaper. I don't know if I'd watch you. I might watch you paint for like half
That
an
actually
hour.
happened on Tuesday morning, but our client sat at least 8 feet away, but they were watching us.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. I had to have some drywall repair done, and the guy was here and doing the mudding, and I was standing there watching him. And I had caught myself. I'm like, oh, sorry, I'll go upstairs. Sorry. Fascinating for me though, right?
But we don't mind that. That's okay. It actually, well, and I think a lot of people like the education of it as well, and they'll ask questions, and and so we don't mind sharing information. That's all good.
That's awesome. So do you guys have a preference? Do you have a preference of whether you're painting or wallpapering?
We just love it all, and it's just nice because you have a little bit of a break. So we could paint, but then the next week we're doing wallpaper. So it's it's always something different.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I would think that for me even a painted wall is lovely and nice, but when I see some of the like if I look behind you and when the spectacular wallpaper goes up, you're like, oh, that's so nice.
Yeah. And a lot of clients have that older mentality of wallpaper is just horrible, and it's so hard to get off. Now, if it was in the 70s or 80s, probably, it's a little tough to get off, but the paper nowadays is very consumer friendly, and it comes off. So, and it's just such a great way to update your space instantly. Yeah. And feature walls have their purpose, but a wallpaper wall, there's no comparison.
Makes a complete statement for sure. So funny that when you say, or Marie mentioned about taking off wallpaper, Marie and I are probably the worst, because how many times have we redone in our own homes? Like just a couple of weeks ago, that wall was wallpaper and this wall was paint. So it's easy. Like seriously, it's off. It's, you wash the glue off. Right. A couple hours and you're done. So yeah, it's definitely not like wallpapers of past.
Yeah, I was just good. That's a great point that, these borders or the wallpapers of the past, I know you guys have scraped off some walls for me where it was slightly dreadful. And of course, it's always a powder room that's got no elbow room or, not good enough lighting. It's never the big open spaces, but right. But I think that's a perception that a lot of people still have about wallpaper, that I'm not going to be able to change it up, or I'm not going to be able to, what if I hate it? What if I get tired of it? Because there's lots of bold prints, and anything with prints and with color are the things that date the quickest. So just keeping up to date, knowing that it's not, 20 hours to get this wall de-wallpaper to do it, that it's, maybe an afternoon, I mean, depending on the wallpaper, but it's done in a reasonable amount of time too.
Absolutely.
Yes. And such fun prints. So I know what I see out in the industry. What are you putting out? What don't I know about the cool stuff you're hanging? You just did a spectacular geometric job.
Geometrics are huge right now, obviously, but so are floral prints. And for us, I think the one that you just installed, the murals. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Custom murals are absolutely stunning.
I saw that amazing big prints. Are you putting? I mean, I would have no problem putting those into half baths or smaller spaces or anything. I love big prints. I think it's kind of interesting, and depending on how close or how far away you are to them, they just take on a whole nother look and another experience with them too. Mm-hmm. You say that? Yeah. And I know the geoprint that we just worked on, you guys have posted some pictures. I know I have some of my Instagram and Facebook accounts from that geoprint too, in the navy tone, kind of like the navy you've got behind you. I mean, it's stunning. The homeowners are super in love with it as well. So even looking through wallpaper books, there's so much more geometrics as well, but they're bigger too. They're not I guess there's both.
There is.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah.
We like to, yeah, and it's fun because some papers that we normally wouldn't choose, you know, and then you put it up and you're like, oh, I get why Velvet picked that because it looks amazing, right? You know, because you just don't know because there's so much. Everyone has just so many different tastes.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's so neat to see all the different papers. And that's why we love our job, either whether it's painting, wallpaper, because it's always different.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just the same old thing. And then people get to show their own personality.
Right. And are you guys, do you guys have a preference? So we've talked a little bit. I've ordered stuff off of places like Wayfair, but we have a local supplier here that deals with interior designers and industry trade people that I get a lot of my product from as well. That's EL Essential Living. So do you guys have preferences? Like when you look on Wayfair and stuff, there's removable, there's pre-glued, there's non-glued, like there's just so many things.
There's a lot.
It says.
There is, yeah.
And
I think, go ahead, sorry.
What would you, okay, for somebody that just wanted to purchase wallpaper themselves and call you up and say, hey, come and install it, what would you say is better for you guys to do it versus somebody that's going to attempt it by themselves, attempt it at home?
I think the biggest thing for us is the peel and sticks, and as user friendly or do it yourself, they think that it is not. It doesn't move, and you know, if you can probably mess up a peel and stick the worst. And yeah, so you know, I think even for do-it-yourselfers, either pre-pasted or pasting the paper or pasting the wall is probably easiest because you can, you know, move the paper a little bit on the wall.
Right.
And if you're only doing one wall, it might be okay. But if you're wrapping around, because you always have to keep your plumb line, and like you said, you can't get that sticky into the corner and manipulate it around the corner.
Right.
So yeah, it's not so much do-it-yourselfer.
They trick you. They trick you into thinking, oh, well, it's already pre-glued. That'll be easy.
Well, and the thing with that too is it is more costly. So the peel and stick is per square foot.
Right, because it doesn't do as much 10% of a square foot as a regular double roll would.
Right. It's probably at least 10% more. So, yeah.
Okay, and let's talk about that. This double roll, single roll.
So confusing.
Fiasco. So, okay, so you guys are like my savior because it just boggles my brain sometimes because some of them, they say it's single roll, but they actually ship it in double rolls, and it's like, okay, well, I don't even know what's happening. So can you explain that a little bit if somebody's looking at purchasing wallpaper, what that means?
Yeah, absolutely. So you actually can't purchase a single roll. And I think right. So I think it's a little bit of a trick in your mind because it says the price, yes, on a single roll is, you know, $49.99, but really you can't purchase $49.99. You can only purchase, you know, $99.98. You know what I mean? So yes, because you can't purchase a single roll. And you know, perhaps back in the 70s or 80s you could, and they've just never changed that standard. But different wallpapers have different lengths and different quantity sizes. For example, you know, grass cloth.
Yes.
With the natural, it's 36 inches wide. And so that roll isn't as long as a roll that is, say, 20 inches wide, right? And so the square footage is roughly the same. You could get about 50 square feet per roll, double roll.
Yeah.
And we don't ever refer to wallpaper as a single, ever. Yeah, if we say, you know, 4 rolls, it's 4 double rolls. So like I said, you can't order a single roll.
You guys and I have had many of text message. Okay, is that the double or the single?
Yeah.
Pricing this and
singles or
bananas. Yeah. And let's talk about grass cloth because it's stunning too, and it's a bit retro-y. I mean, there used to be grass cloth back in the day, and so now it's kind of come back. Looks stunning in spaces. Are you guys installing a lot of that?
We have actually a little more in the higher end homes, because obviously it's a little bit more costly, and you can get metallic threads. Like there's some very, very beautiful. Yeah.
It's pretty classic though, and timeless. I feel like the fact that that is even, it's kind of always been a constant grass cloth, right? And so it's not really trendy. It's sort of, you know, kind of always been there, and kind of, I think, always will be there.
Yeah.
But like you said, the threading now, or the different textures
And
that
the
you can
fibers that you can put in. And grass cloth is nice when you want to just add texture to the wall.
Yeah, because
You know, and you don't want your floral print or geometric, or you don't want anything, but you just want to add another element to the space.
Yeah, a little good point about texture and just how that changes the look and feel of the space as opposed to pattern. So it's a little different of concept of a pattern adds interest, but so does texture adds interest, and the natural cloth is it seems to be a little more neutral, even with some of those fibers and things coming through. So if people are a little bit scared about wallpaper, it's a nice alternative, if you, of course, because it is a little bit more costly as well, but kind of gives you the benefit of both things, some interest and some texture. And
Absolutely. Another thing to keep in mind too, there are wallpapers that mimic or simulate grass cloth. And so if you're thinking that, boy, I'd like to, you know, in a powder room, or you know, in your room, do where there's higher moisture, you can still apply the grass cloth look with a regular wallpaper, a vinyl, which looks quite nice as well.
And let's talk about moisture and wallpaper. Are you like, what are your recommendations if people are wanting, not half baths are a different thing because there's typically not as much moisture, but if it's in your ensuite, or if there's a steam shower, or if there's well, we may have gotten kicked out of Facebook again. That's okay. Or those types of spaces that have a little bit more, well, moisture in them. What's your recommendation for product?
Well, we actually really haven't installed a lot of wallpaper in someone's, let's say, ensuite or their main bathroom where they're doing a lot of showering, only because of the moisture. But we have installed commercial vinyl in a couple spaces. Having said that, commercial vinyl is 54 inches wide or 52, and it's really tricky to go around a small space with big feet. So we don't, it was
something we don't recommend.
But for moisture, I guess the commercial would probably, you know, withstand up a little bit better.
Right. Sorry, I'm just going to see if we're on Facebook Live still, if we got booted out. Oh, it still shows us live. That's all good. Okay, thank you for the intermission. So yes, I'll just introduce us again for anybody that's just joining. I'm Velvet with Little Red Door. I have an interior design business here in Calgary, and I have the Painter Chicks with me, who are painting and wallpaper specialists, and we're just talking about what to do in your house and kind of how to make choices about what to put in. We work together a lot on projects. It's not like I do wallpaper every single day, but
but you should be.
Yeah, I know. I totally agree with you. Yeah. I don't know. I go in. So if anybody's done any wallpaper, let's just talk about that for 1 second. Anybody that has done wallpaper selections, like there are books and books and books. I've posted a video of walking around, you know, the wallpaper selection rooms, and it's, you know, it's somewhat dreadful. As much as I love the look, once we get it installed, to the process of choosing it is just, it's a lot of work.
It can be very intimidating for someone who isn't knowledgeable or isn't aware, and that's why hiring someone like you or having your advice can definitely direct people in the right way, because it is very overwhelming, without a doubt. You had mentioned earlier about the difference, like ordering from Wayfair versus, say, you know, Rob and Jody at Essential. You know, Wayfair does have a lot of good quality wallpaper. I think the only downside to that is you can't actually feel the paper or see it
in person. So if it comes and it's not the right color, you know, or different particulars, and some people order off of the internet from
Yeah.
different countries, and we had to install one, and it actually was fabric, and we were supposed to glue it with an adhesive, and it was in a
Spray
nursery,
adhesive.
and we were like, I don't
Yeah, they wanted like to spray adhesive with a spray on, and then tack it on. But we didn't. We used our own method, but it was really unusual. Yeah.
So a lot of times people just look at the print and they're like, oh gosh,
Sure.
this amount, and we can do it, but you really have to be careful on the installation of the product itself, because like you said, as there's so many different ways to install. So
well, I have had good luck in ordering from some of the online stuff now. I don't know if that's just because I read through all the stuff and kind of know it. I'm not just picking it off of prints, and I'm picking brands that I know. So some of the like York wall coverings and those some of the the more well-known suppliers of wallpaper. So I'm looking at their product on those online sites, as opposed to suppliers that I don't know where it's shipping from. At least some of those.
Right.
A good thing too, if you're working with a designer or a shop, that you can order memos of the product as well. So if you're doing other selections in the room, they send out basically little squares. So you look at a giant wallpaper book and pick it out, but we can order those in. The supplier sends them directly to us, these memos, and you can use them for other matching and other, looking at other things in the home too, which you wouldn't get ordering anything offline. So that's, you just have to be aware that you get what you get. And the other thing too, some of the shipping of the product as well, if people don't know this, you shouldn't store your wallpaper standing up on its ends. Because it damages where they're trying to seam everything. Correct?
Exactly.
So
that happened a few times.
Yes.
Yeah, I did get my shipment in from Wayfair, and there was, I don't know, 4 rolls like in this giant box, just like flailing around in there. And when it was for the powder room you guys installed for me with that kind of greeny, I don't know, it was a few months ago, so greeny colored animal print wallpaper. That's a terrible description.
It's beautiful though.
It is beautiful.
But it came in the box, and it was like standing on its end outside my door, and I was like, oh, hope that it was expensive. It wasn't cheap. It's not cheap to order wallpaper in. So
right.
I was a little worried, but it all worked out. So, but you do have to be aware of getting some of this stuff, where it's coming from, how long it's in the shipping. If it's just loose rolling around, it could come damaged as well. And you just have to wait.
And another thing to keep in mind too, when you're talking about ordering wallpaper, is with the quantities. If in doubt, when you're ordering it, you could go with either 3 rolls or 4 rolls. Always go with that extra, just in case there is a little bit of damage on some of the wallpaper. Another thing to keep in mind is that you always want the dye lot to be the same. So if, let's say, for example, you did run shy and you did order 3 and you're oh darn, I should have gotten that 4th roll, and you reorder, it could be a different dye lot, and then the inks are slightly different. Right. And so we always recommend, if there's any doubt, go with a little bit extra. You've got a little bit, in case there's any damage and whatnot, even in the future if you have something go wrong.
Yeah, I think that's really important too, especially when you're talking about some of the colors. Like some of the prints now are coming with a really matte finish of it, almost looks like a matte paint on the wallpaper, and then some metallics and things. I don't know if that's kind of what you have behind you, but where it looks so matte that the like navy colors and the grays and the blacks, if that dye lot's off at all, like you're just so going to notice it so much more in the matte finishes and stuff as well.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about those. You guys educated me about those dark wallpapers too. So talk about the seams and the back paper, and when you're trying to match those up, and talk about the seaming of it.
Well, a lot of times when you see things on whatever, Pinterest or the internet, somehow they can do a photo that it looks seamless. Wallpaper is not seamless. I mean, obviously you need to have the pattern matching, you need to have your seams nice and butted together. If the wallpaper's dark and it has a white background, there is that white edge on the edge of the paper, and you know, a lot of times clients just think it's, you're going to put it up and you can't see anything, and we also don't have any control how it dries. So when we leave the job site, like everything is perfect, but if it dries some places quicker, or if there's airflow or different things, sometimes the paper can shrink. And a lot of times we'll go in and we'll either just paint the edge, or, you know, have a little pencil just to make the edges disappear. But yeah, the wallpaper is not seamless, but we try our best to make it as seamless as possible.
And so just to add to that, the wallpapers come with white paper on the back. So if you've got a dark color on the front and white on the back, when you're trying to do those seams, and if there's any little bit of, I don't know, did we call it a gap? If there's any bit of the edge, thank you. Yeah, the edge of it.
It is how it's, I believe, how it's cut in the manufacturing process as well. That if that cut isn't bang on the money too, like super sharp even, I guess, if there's, you know, then it's raised just slightly, and so that edge will show.
Right. Yeah.
And so like Marie said, you have to go along and touch them up, which is, you know, I don't think a lot of installers do that. We do, just obviously because we want it to look seamless, as well as seamless as you can.
Yeah, that's
and a lot of times if the paper is super dark, or say it was a black paper, we'll sometimes either have, you know, us or the homeowner, whoever, paint a dark color underneath. Sometimes that will help a little bit if, you know, the seam shrinks a little bit.
Gotcha. Oh, interesting. That's great. That's great information for people, especially when people think, you know, want to DIY some stuff, or, you know, for the first round want to DIY it and then call you it. That didn't work at all.
We've done a lot of fixing.
Do you guys do service calls if somebody has, I don't know, installed something themselves and
absolutely,
like, this has to be fixed?
And we're like,
I'm trying to think of a scenario.
We actually did a service call for this wonderful woman. She's 90 years old, and the wallpaper was probably from the 70s, and she had saved spare wallpaper in case, in the event that something happened. Well, something did happen. The home is probably 60 years old, I'm guessing.
Right.
And so and it was in a shower area, and right beside the shower it had lifted. And so we were actually able to repair that using the wallpaper that she had. And so, you know, we removed the old and then installed the new. But, you know, she was just happy that it had been repaired. But, you know, we do.
Awesome.
And we can.
You know, I'm a sucker for going into a home that's older, that somebody that has just taken care of, and the only thing that's wrong with it is, you know, maybe a few things have wore out, but everything like is in pristine. Like, to say that her wallpaper, it's taken 60 years for this wallpaper, or whatever, 40 years for this wallpaper to show along a bathroom tile. Gosh, that just attests it's, you know, how well they're maintaining their house. She's probably wiping everything down when she gets to the shower.
Absolutely.
Most of us do not do that any longer.
No, I don't think we have time for that nowadays.
Far more high maintenance. So bless her for for that. Okay. So let's see. We've talked about paint. Okay, paint. Let's talk about paint. Do you guys have your own? Do you care what brand of paint? If you had a preference, people always ask me that, and I have I have everything available as far as color swatches and all of that. But a lot of times when I say do this color, it's, let's say I use a Benjamin Moore, or we'll plug everybody, Sherwin-Williams, or whatever paint chip, that to know what your painters are actually using for paint, that it's not necessarily, if I pick a color from Benjamin Moore, you guys may not have priced the paint job with a Benjamin Moore paint or something like that. So let's just talk a little bit about, I just want to say, not buyer beware, but just to have knowledge that if you really want to use Benjamin Moore paint, that when you're getting prices from painters to say, I want this brand, I want this thing, otherwise you may pick a different brand. Why that's important is sometimes there's pigments in paint that when it's a specific brand of paint, the color isn't as true if you switch over and just have somebody color match it. That feels like that was a long-winded explanation. You
But
guys,
very true. And I think if to refer to, you know, each company has their own level of, like, not really quality, I guess. You know, there's the contractor grade, if you want to call it that. And then there's, you know, mid-grade, or, you know, the higher grade. I think as long as you're purchasing, you know, mid to high of any product or of any company, you're pretty safe. Now, we normally, well, we use anything. We use Benjamin Moore, we use, you know, Cloverdale quite often. We've used, you know, Sherwin-Williams. We've used everything.
Lux,
me too, even in my own home.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And we do prefer, I guess, our workhorse of paints, I guess, is Cloverdale. Yeah. And that's kind of what our go-to, and they do color match, and they do, you know, an excellent job, you know, matching. Yeah. You know, we'll do whatever the client wants. The client says, you know, I want this specific, and you're right, because a lot of people, when they're getting quotes for painting, someone might say, oh yeah, I use Benjamin Moore, or I'm going to use Cloverdale, I'm going to use this, but they're using the contractor grade. And so that's not necessarily what you want to use in your home. It's fine for commercial applications. Your garage, or or somewhere where you're not wiping and cleaning. Yeah. But you want to get, you know, you want a good higher quality.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's a great point, a great lead into about paint and where it's being applied. Again, just like wallpaper, higher moisture areas, there's kind of different kinds of paint we want to use, and where there's higher moisture versus, or in even hallways and stuff. So just be aware that, you know, some of these matte finishes aren't great and aren't as durable for wiping down and washing. But if you have a house that gets lots of daylight, some of these higher sheen finishes aren't great either, because you're going to see all the imperfections along your wall. You're going to see all there's just so many mixes and matches of combinations that just, if you're not sure, either ask the paint supplier, ask the painter, ask a designer, hopefully, if you're working with them, about what makes sense to go in these areas. Because even though, you know, the higher the gloss, they say it's a better finish, but that does not work in situations of especially renovations, because you just see all the imperfections in the walls and bumps and waves and all that, and even more so when there's direct light on there. Yeah,
absolutely. And to refer back to that story, just even nowadays, paints, the lower sheen paints are wipeable and washable. So, you know, back in the day, yes, you know, a flat finish wasn't necessarily that good, but, you know, Benjamin Moore has a great ultimate finish, and that is, you know, a lower sheen, but it's wipeable. You know, I don't know how scrubbable it would be, but it's definitely very, you know, wipeable and washable. So,
yeah. I think knowing for what areas you're putting stuff in is just another conversation to have. Just it's all about being aware, and just the education of that stuff too, because you never want anybody to be disappointed at the end.
Right.
And it's really important when we're working even with designers and because when we go in, you guys can pick and choose all these different things, and then, you know, we might go, oh, that color is amazing, but it might show off a little bit of a paint cue. So it's so important to have a really great relationship, or it's like, oh, that wallpaper might not go here, because you guys have the vision and you have all, you know, what you're picking going into the project. And it's just really great when, you know, when we start doing it, we can tweak it, because picking a paint color on a little swatch is so different than when it goes on the wall.
But
and it's just great.
This big go on, you know, your entire space. I can't. I don't understand how that could go wrong.
You know, because some whites go yellow, some you know, whatever. What is it? They go either gray, or they go pink, or they, however it is. So it's just nice.
Blue, pink, or yellow.
Yeah.
So yeah, totally. You have to really see the lighting, all of those, you know, what it's going to look, you know, test samples on that as well. Do you paint? I was just thinking test samples. for people as well. So if you're in your home and thinking about doing paint, to really run it on the wall, run some samples in the different areas, and do a couple coats of paint to see it. And I always say too, make sure when you're comparing colors, people get really distracted by the wall color that's already on the wall to the sample they've just painted on the wall.
That is very true. Yes.
And it's like, okay, well, but it looks, let's just say yellow. It looks yellow. Well, is it yellow, or is it yellow compared to what's on the wall? So, our mind has a way of tricking us, and our eyes and all of that in some of that process too. So when in doubt, put some white paint on the wall first, and then put your colors that you're looking on top of that. So just cheap primer is all it needs to be to have a expansive area so that you can.
That's great advice. Absolutely. Yeah.
You've seen the color you're looking at, because I've seen some people get very distracted by that, and it's like, well, but it's not.
Exactly.
It's color. Let's talk about painting over existing wall colors. So do you see, I've had this happen where a color has, we've chosen a paint color. This was years ago now. Maybe it's not an issue anymore. There was like a yellow kind of paint color on the wall, and we painted over top of it, but it still seemed, that yellow seemed to really draw through the paint that we put on. And it's like, oh shit, now what? So do you guys see that at all, or is that all the time?
With certain colors, absolutely. There's certain colors that are very hard to hide. And then when you say to the homeowner, it's going to take 4 coats, and they're like, wow, no, it's not. And you're like, yes, it is.
Yeah. Yeah, that there is that bleed. And it's funny, there doesn't seem to be a rhyme or reason from my experience as to which ones do that or don't. So, when in doubt, prime it out. I just made that up.
Oh my goodness, that sounds so
That
cool.
is great. Yeah, and that's true. And you do have to apply primer, and that goes for dark colors as well. So when you're wanting to paint, dark feature color, you just can't do like a dark blue over white. You should be priming the wall prior to achieve that depth in the color. Right. So it goes both ways.
Yeah, that's a good point too. So I'm hung up on my when in doubt, prime it out. And I totally lost my train of thought. I was going to ask you a question about that, but oh my gosh, easily distracted squirrel. It was dark colors. Paint dark colors. Oh crap, who cares? All right, I don't know. Let's move on. It'll come to me. Okay. So you guys love what you do. Are there any? Oh, that's what it was. Installing wallpaper. I guess paint too. That there's you can't just install it on rough drywall. It needs to be primed. It needs to have a coat of paint on it to get the adhesion and proper things to happen for wallpaper.
Yes, and for removability at the end of the day as well.
Good point.
Right.
So if it's not done, primed out and painted, when the homeowner removes it, the drywall will most likely come. The first layer of drywall will come off. So it's important. It's super important. That's why we really stress, because a lot of times, even in new construction, there's so many different trades, and then it was painted, or it was this and this, and we're like, okay, are you sure? Because it's not coming off easy.
And the wall needs to be sanded. It needs to be smooth, and any imperfections should be repaired as well, because you're going to see it, if there's a hole or a divot, you're going to see that in the wallpaper as well. So you want it smooth and sanded as well.
Right. And so things like when you guys quote paint, do you also include like all the filling of nail holes and touch-ups and kind of repair work and minor stuff? I'm not talking like drywall patches or anything, but you guys, when you're including that, because a lot of paint, cheap isn't always good, because sometimes they skip this step of making sure that those nail holes or nail pops are all fixed up. And you guys, when you quote, do you include that in your?
Absolutely.
Oh, we sure do. And we can do most drywall repairs, actually. If there's holes or seams, we can do most of that as well.
Oh, you're so good.
If we can't, we know who to call.
Right. Well, that's it too. And I think that's something to attest about people who've been in the industry, and that, you know, every time you have to call somebody in, it costs more money too. So if you guys are able to do those types of repairs and do those things, and, you know, sometimes, you know, a love-hate relationship between designers and people actually installing product is like, well, you didn't, I just, not I, but, you know, the expectation is, well, I told you what to do, just do it. that's so bad,
Right?
you know, but in my mind, it's like, oh, I didn't think about that, or I didn't, you know, didn't actually walk through that whole process. Or when I'm in the house, there's furniture pushed up all against the wall, or there's, you know, art hanging on the wall. And so sometimes I don't see that. And so you guys come in and it's like, okay, well, now the walls are bare, and these things that are coming in, it's like, well, we need to fix that up. There's, I don't know, a dent in the wall that the hockey puck went through or whatever. And it's like, oh, okay, so can you do that, or what happens? And so things like that come up a lot for
Absolutely.
both of us. So knowing that you guys can do those fix-ups and those repairs is good. Also, anybody that's wanting to put it wallpaper in powder, I talk powder rooms because we do that a lot in powder rooms. It's, you know, kind of a feature area that we do, as well as other walls. So I talk a lot about powder rooms, but, you know, things like getting your toilet removed, taking out the caulking around where the countertops meet the wall, or the tiles, making sure that those holes are all filled up, and even as much as having the mirror removed off of the wall, so that you can put that behind, so you don't get all these joints and seams, and you're not cutting around the brackets that hold the mirror into place and things like that. So that's all stuff that you guys would, you know, make your job easier.
Right. And I think it's important for future. So if someone has a specific mirror on the wall, they may not want that mirror in 5 years from now. And so, you know, the opportunity to keep the wallpaper the same, but change the mirror is, you know, you would have to, I guess, piece over that. But it's better to, you know, do everything all in behind, and then, you know, you can change things up as you need it, and the wallpaper will still be there.
Yeah, I've had some people, they're a little shocked because when I quote wallpaper, I include having all of that done, you know, the covers over your light switches and stuff removed, and the toilet being removed, and the toilet putting back on, and all that caulking and all of that. And sometimes, you know, people don't realize how big of a job it can maybe turn into. That, yeah, there's those, you know, you have to have a plumber out twice, you have to have this out, you know, to get this stuff done. So just cost to consider in the theme of.
And we install paper when all the fixtures are in as well, but we always really explain to the client, okay, so just so you know, if there's silicone or there's caulking, that edge, it might not, you know, it might not stick. Or, okay, underneath the toilet where all the shut-off valves are, you know, you can't cut around there and have the seam and all that stuff. So then we really explain to the clients. And then if they're like, yeah, no, we don't want to go to that extra expense, we just let them know and show them, okay, this is.
The expectation is a little different, you know, for the final, you know, product.
Yeah.
And do you guys wallpaper ceilings?
Yes.
Unwilling.
We say that with, we say that with a little bit of, what's the word I'm looking for? It's ceilings are tough, right? You know.
Sure.
But we do.
But there's definitely wine at the end of that day.
And a nice massage.
Right? Totally. Yeah, I appreciate you guys in your small spaces trying to unroll rolls of paper to get the joints lined up, and, you know, make sure there's lighting. As much as I have told builders or renovators, please have a light for the girls to work in the powder rooms, that you guys show up and it's like, yeah, so we're working from our headlamps because we can't, there's no light fixture in here because it's been removed for renovations and stuff too. So lights is always a nice thing to have.
Absolutely.
And do you guys have a favorite thing you like to do? Like, does one of you like to paint more or wallpaper more? Or?
I think Marie likes the wallpaper more.
Yeah, I really like
I don't mind it. I like the change. But I like to paint too. I like them, you know, kind of not old school, but I'm the painter and she's the paper.
Gotcha.
But we do both obviously all the time. So it's, yeah.
How'd you get into doing wallpaper? Just
You know,
for-
our first wallpaper job was probably that Duncan McGregor or that Holmes, number 4
in Coldale.
in Coldale.
Yeah.
And it was like we had talked about with the dark front light backing, and so we were, and that was probably 10 years ago now.
Yeah,
That
it
was
was-
one of our first jobs together, I think. And we probably, I'm surprised after that job that we still work together. Because you know how they say, you know, wallpapering, it can be tricky, and people ask us actually that all the time. They say, gosh, how do you guys, you know, work together? But yeah, we're very alike in a lot of ways, and so that's, I think, why we were able to work together and without killing each other.
it's good.
We got each other's backs.
As long as you know the bottle of wine at the end of the day is all.
Right, that works too. Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. Yeah, I have never hung wallpaper, ever. I don't think. So I totally appreciate, and it terrifies me because it's something, you know, there's a price tag to it, and there's a price tag to messing it up, and you know, maybe one day. Or maybe I'll just I'll come and watch you work one day. Maybe that'll be my.
There you go.
That'll be my.
We'll give a tutorial.
So you guys are busy. You're working through all of this. You're busy. You'll do new home. You'll do renovations. How do people find you?
We are on Facebook, so they can
and Instagram,
Instagram.
Or they can just, even through this live video, obviously this is through Facebook, but just give us a call. Our number's on there. So we give free estimates, and we'll come to your house and take a look.
Wonderful.
Or, sorry, I'm just thinking as we're talking about, you know, COVID and being, you know, distancing, we can also give quotes via pictures. A lot of people have sent us pictures and measurements, and so we can do that way as well. And then, you know, schedule for, you know, a month or two or whenever they want to, you know, feel a little bit safer.
Well, let's talk about that for one quick second. If you're getting wallpaper as well, if that's something that you guys are doing, it takes a time to come in, and depending on where it is, and the shipping right now is dodgy. So just be aware not to book the installers until you have wallpaper in your possession.
That's what we tell everybody.
Yes. So that's another thing. So just time frame and having you guys come out and look at stuff. We work like that all the time. I measure things up. I mean, I know what to kind of look for that, but if anybody's good with a measuring tape and can add some pictures or add some dimensions onto pictures to send to you of wall spaces and lengths and widths and heights, then that works great for you guys as well, and then they can get a good idea of cost for things.
You betcha.
How much busier do you want to be? What are the goals? You just want to like wallpaper and paint the...
We'd like to leave our mark in a lot of people's places.
Oh, that's a great answer.
Leaving our love.
Paint our love. Yeah, paint our love.
And most of our, we always have repeat customers, and that's so important to us because they know, or we know that they were really happy and satisfied with our job. So yes,
we don't, or we haven't advertised other than just on Facebook or, you know, whatever.
And through the amazing group of all, you know, the designers we work with the other, you know.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of it is word of mouth. People want to know, you know, they'll ask, do you know a good painter? Do you know a good wallpaper installer? And
it's hard, especially when, you know, we've got a big industry here, and there are lots of painters, and there's lots of little, you know, yard signs and this and that, but it's about people that you know and trust, and people that you know that can repair your walls, that know about paint, that know about lighting, that know, you know, these other things too, that, you know, sometimes the people can paint. Lots of people can roll paint on the wall, but those other added things aren't necessarily there. Is that did I say that politically correct enough? I think everybody got it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying.
And
sometimes you get what you pay for.
Yes, that's true. We get comments quite often, because when we show up, they're like, "You're the painters?"
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. but you know, it's really reassuring for housewives, you know, when we show up, or to the elderly folk, because, well, they trust us.
Well, we're not to, you know, downplay or to say anything negative about some of the tradespeople, but a lot of, you know, tradespeople do get a negative rap, and and we are, you know, honest, reliable tradespeople, and we take such pride in our work, and we have a great deal of integrity, and so we would never leave a job without that person being 100% happy and wanting to refer us to their family members and friends. So
yeah, I love that. And I love to, you know, if there's anything that's an issue, you guys are, you know, a phone call away. I know, you know, we've had stuff that has been done in a house that at the time that you guys went in, they had heaters going and all, you know, all kinds of things. So by the time the house got down to a normal temperature and the wallpaper has time to adjust to the new climate, and there were a couple issues that I know that I can call you guys and you're like, okay, we're on it, we'll go see, we'll at least, you know, address, see if we can fix it, what's happening. So I know that's a huge assurance to me, because I don't know how to fix it, and it's like, but you installed it, I paid you, you know, could you go back and look at it? And even if it's something we have to fix, I know you guys are knowledgeable, and I know you're reliable, and you're gonna help me make that customer happy and make sure that at the end of the day they love it. So that's why I wanted to talk with you, because I think you're super great at that. I thank you for making all of my projects, you know, go that much smoother, that I don't have to babysit you. I don't have to, you know, as long as I invite you to the install date, we're on the same page. Oh my gosh, we just had an install and I forgot to actually invite them to the actual time to be installed. And they were gracious enough to squeeze me into my date that I had told everybody else except for them. So that was me. I'm like, oh, anyways, they made it happen. All right. Anything you want to share? Anything I didn't touch on? Anything here?
We just appreciate working with you.
Yes, we
definitely
appreciate the fact that you've invited us. And so thank you so much. We love working with you.
Oh, thank you. It's fun. You guys make it. You know, when you guys leave, it's always like, oh, I know. I had one more question. Lacquer, spraying paint or rolling, you guys do both. Whether people want spray. So typically baseboards and casings get a spray coat on them. Walls can be sprayed or rolled. You can roll baseboards and casings too, but typically in a new home construction, you would see those sprayed out. It's a stinky process.
It
can be. So, you know, people just need to be aware of that. But you guys do both of those. So I just wanted to touch on that. I was thinking about it earlier. That wasn't the thing I forgot though, but that's okay. Okay. We're almost at our time. So drum roll. Okay. It's my hot seat questions. Are you ready?
Okay.
Okay. One thing you wish you'd done or bought before the quarantine.
Oh, more candles.
Really?
Oh my goodness. I honestly, I can't think of something that has affected me that
you're doing it.
Wish that I had it done yet.
A person that you wish that you had seen before or after quarantine. Before quarantine.
My dad. I think, but I can still see him through the glass of the door, so that's okay. And I can still call him, so that's good.
Yeah,
but it's hard. It's definitely hard for the seniors that are in assisted living facilities right now, where you can't go in and there's no visitors, and so it's hard for them.
Yeah. And okay. Well, I asked this one already. Would you like wallpaper or paint? So you're 50-50.
Yeah.
Favorite vacation you've been on?
Oh, Africa.
Oh, yeah. Where in Africa?
Tanzania. Arusha was a most amazing trip ever.
Awesome. I've been to South Africa, but I haven't been to Tanzania.
And for me, I think the most favorite one was when I went to Mexico last year with both my sisters and husband, and daughter and son-in-law. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, the family vacations I think are the best.
Yeah, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
I'm itching to go somewhere. So I have
I know, right?
We're like, oh God.
like even just camping. Like I can't. It boggles my, like we're not that social when we camp either. So it would be just like to get out into the woods.
Mm-hmm.
Like yeah. Anyways, that's a whole other thing. Favorite color?
Pink.
For me, it always changes. Yeah, I'm into blues right now.
Okay. Navy blue or light blue?
Navy.
Navy.
And the darks, yeah.
Okay, favorite quarantine drink?
Wine.
Ooh, that could be a toss-up. I love raspberry vodka and old-fashioned iced tea. That's been my go-to. Oh, sorry, and gin and alder flower tonic.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. Do you have a guilty pleasure TV show or like Netflix thing that you watch?
Well, we just finished the Ozark series.
Oh, right.
And that was amazing. Oh my gosh, I can't wait for season 4. Big one right now that we're just watching, finishing is Homeland as well. It's another fun one for us.
I've been watching
Queen of the South, and that's really good.
What's that one about?
It's about a Mexican drug cartel.
Oh, right. Okay. I think I've seen the little ads on there. I started a question, didn't finish it, so we'll skip that one. Funniest thing you've seen during the during your installs, like funniest, you want me to do during quarantine?
Oh no, no.
Funniest thing you've seen.
We could probably write a book of all of the things that we've seen, whether it be just like we've talked about the tradespeople and how they present themselves on different job sites or specific jobs that people have done. Oh gosh.
I can't think of just
I can't either. No.
Not really.
No, not offhand.
But we giggle a lot.
We do. Yeah. We have a great time.
I won't tell that story. Well, it is funny how, sometimes we're called into people's houses to go and look at rooms or spaces or whatever, and you walk in and you're like, did you forget I was coming? Like, yes. It doesn't bother me if it's a lived-in house and all of that, but sometimes there's been questionable things left out or not relocated.
That's a really good point. And yes, that has happened as well to us.
It's like, okay. Where would be the first place you would travel after quarantine?
I'd probably go to a beach.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm thinking Italy. I would love to go to Italy. I mean, and that's probably the worst place to even say right now, right? How hard they've been hit. But my husband and I haven't actually taken our honeymoon yet. And so that's where we were going to go on our honeymoon. But so I think that would be the first place I'd go.
Oh, totally go. Italy's beautiful. I'm all over a beach. I mean, I don't know why I don't live near water more and not. So, all right. Well, that's it. That's all I had, ladies. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I hope everybody learned something and had fun with us. These are just meant to be fun and informative and let everybody know about who we are and why we like working together and just get some good information about, well, everybody's sitting at home thinking they may want to do something and don't know who to call. That's what this is all about. So thank you so much. You guys do an amazing job for me. And I'm really grateful that we've met.
Yes.
All right. Have a great day.
Thanks.
See you. Bye-bye.